This slide of the slide deck, we are going to be talking about the target audience still, but we're going to be talking about the audience path, the journey that they take. Now, the purpose of this portion of the slide deck is we are taking a sales funnel, and if you don't know what a sales funnel is, I'm going to be telling you what that is, and we're going to be putting that into an understandable and applicable way. You're basically telling the story of how your audience is going to be funneled in a story format. So how are they going from so how is this person going from just barely knowing you to becoming a raving fan and telling their clients about it? So here's a little visual for you. Here's a little mountain that you're hiking. Imagine that your client's audience is hiking up, and the top of the mountain, their destination, is the point of buying. And at the bottom is their realization of their problem. They just realized they have a problem. They've got something that they need to be fixed. And they have no idea who you are. They're trying to search and trying to find your client's business, but they still have no idea. And so they've got to take this trail, this path, and there's lots of different paths to getting to that point of buying. Maybe they first find you on Instagram, and then they start interacting with you on Instagram, and then they ask a friend about what they think about this company, and then they search up some reviews on YouTube, and then they get to the point of buying. And then even after that, how do they become that raving fan? They really use the product, and it's a whole experience for them, and there's so many other perks that come with the product that they didn't even initially realize. So that is the story that we're trying to tell. First we're trying to identify what's the best path, and then we're going to try and really clearly depict what that path actually is. So here's what that slide on my slide deck looks like. You can see I broke it up into different columns. Here's what it looks like after it's filled out. This is from a real client strategy session. Here's another example. Now, let's talk about what these columns even mean. The first column about where they are starting at, that is the first part of the story. Where are they starting at? How are they feeling? Use adjectives. How are they finding this person? Are they discovering you on Instagram? Are they finding you on YouTube? How are they coming in contact with this? We need to know what sales objections that we need to overcome in order for them to buy, or even just for them to realize that they have the problem, to realize that you exist, all those types of things. So next column is how do they find and engage with you? Basically, I like to rephrase this to my clients of like, why do they choose, now that they realize that they have a problem and they realize you exist, they probably also realize that there are other people out there who are selling solutions to the problem that they have. So why would this person buy from your client's audience over their competition? How do they finally choose to buy something from your client's business? And are there any specific platforms that are implemented? Any specific reasons? We need to know what really leads up to that buying decision. And the next column is what happens after they buy. After they buy, what makes them a raving fan? Is it because they realize this about the product? What is it about the product or the service that they really, really fell in love with and that they wanted to tell their friends about? Now, the next two columns are really in sync with the third columns. It's basically just asking what are the tangible results that someone will get after hiring you, just the basics of what they're selling, and then how do they feel after they buy or interact with your brand. Those are the emotions of what your client is selling. Now, the last column is what happens if they don't buy. Now, I like to talk about this column, and I put it in there because I think it's important to rally your client's audience fighting for something. What's going to happen if they don't buy this product or service from your client? What is it that we're trying to really, really keep them away from? Okay, now the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to highlight the three most important pieces of information. This is really going to help you when you're making the finalized strategy to realize what it is that you need to focus on. Because what we're going to do in the finalized strategies section is we're going to take this entire columnized section and we're going to turn it into a story. Because yes, now we understand that your client's audience has problems, but what I like to do is I like to put all of those problems into specific areas, like the beginning, the middle sections, the buying sections, after they buy, put that into a whole story format and identify very specific solutions to each of those phases. There's so many problems your client has. We really, really need to just group them into those specific phases. Now, if you're struggling to get a really clear path, what you're going to do is you're going to use those same 3 techniques that I showed you in the previous video with identifying who your client's persona is, and diving deep into that. And using those same techniques on this section, which is basically just asking follow-up questions, asking why, and identifying gaps and connections.